All right, we're live.
We're live. Put it in the books. It's a Jacob deGrom start. So the way I'm going to operate, Clem, is once every 5 days I unconsole and then I reconsole like Dwight Schrute. Shun, unshun. Console, unconsole. And I won't even do the full game. I'll watch innings 1 through 6 or 7. I'll watch Jake rack up 10 strikes, 10 Ks, and then I'm out of there. So, man, what a wild fucking few days it's been to just then have just a good, solid-ass win with watching Jake do his thing, and everybody's hitting. A couple injuries, but whatever, we'll get into that. But it's wild where it was just like, okay, finally a normal fucking game.
The unconsole, reconsole was the perfect way to put it. The fact you just you throw on the e-brake as soon as Jake leaves the game and you just hop out of the car as it's still rolling. I appreciate the shit out of that. Mm-hmm. I just love that. I was so happy. At this point, I'm just rooting for Jacob deGrom. Everyone else has ripped my soul to shreds, even the guys that we love. So Jacob deGrom, I was just so happy he got his run support early. It kept coming. The bullpen didn't completely fuck him. I thought Skinny Familia was turning heel on me tonight, and he didn't. But at this point,
it's funny how even they were fine. The bullpen got the job done, but right away, Familia had second and third, 1 out, walks the bases low. It's just like, oh God, you guys, how annoying is that? How bad do you think our relievers feel and have felt over the years when a guy like deGrom hands them the ball? And it's like, dude, I just went through this lineup 2 or 3 times. I mowed them all down. Here you go. And you can't even fucking get out of one goddamn inning.
He left the game letting up 2 runs. That's his 25th game where he's only let up 2 runs and struck out at least 10. It's a Mets record. He's tied with Seaver. And he gets into the bullpen and just starts beating the shit out of everything because he knows 2 runs is 2 runs too many. He's like, God damn it.
Dude, we'll talk about the specifics in a moment, but this dude tweeted out a stat tonight that is a stat. I referenced it a couple episodes ago. We got to believe the 4-run stat is something that is the 4-run rule, I'll call it, is something that has haunted the Mets since 2015. This was Ryan Spader. Do you guys know him? I'm not sure who that is. He's on Twitter, the Ace of Spader. He's a baseball analyst. And this stat, the Mets have scored 4 runs for Jacob deGrom tonight. He is 21-17 in 66 starts since 2018. Had New York been able to score 4 runs per game for him like they did tonight, he would be 59-3 with 4 no decisions. Yeah. And so, I dug it up. I did a quick search on the blog and then a quick search on Twitter, and I just put in Mets 4 runs. Because I've been talking about this for fucking years, and it still holds true to this day. And I found tweets from 2015, 2016. In 2015, the Mets were 33-5 when they scored 4 runs. They what else do we have here? In 2015, July 11th, Mets were 33-5 when scoring 4 runs. July 3rd, 2016, the Mets were 33-7. It's just like this is and has been their number. At one point, it reached 90%. 90% of the time, if they scored 4 runs, they would win. If they had done that through the past 5 years, we would have had the most consistent and dominant team in baseball, and Jacob deGrom would be on pace for 300 wins. It's like, well, and I'm not asking to score, if you said, hey, all you got to do is score 6 runs, that's a lot. You're asking a lot of a team. Being a 4-run team is really not that crazy, and it would have been automatic at least 90 wins every fucking year for the past 5 years.
4 runs a game has to be under league average, right? 4 runs a game for the entire year.
No.
Yeah, so asking that is not too much of an ask, you would think. Right. That was kind of the one thing about tonight. If they did blow tonight, it would almost been like, all right, guys, now what are you going to do to disparage Jacob deGrom again? Because he didn't pitch a complete fucking game. They're going to be like, if the guy can't go 9 innings and throw 150 pitches in a fraudulent season where Uncle Stevie's coming anyway, I can't just give him shut the fuck up. Jacob deGrom, his legacy is going to be killing the win stat for meaning anything from the fucking record books. He's banished it to the fucking to the netherworlds.
everybody has known that. Everybody kind of with a brain or who pays attention to baseball has known that for years now. But you might be right that the common man, the average dude who, you argue with some of these fucking mouth breathers and they throw out, well, Jake only had fucking 10 wins this year, and you dunk on them enough. I think that he is going to be known as the dude who made the whole world realize wins ain't shit. They should just stop with that stat. They really should. They should do something about, like what do they have a name for just like your win and loss record in games you start? Because I would take that as a more telling stat than anything. None of it makes sense, but the fucking win stat is a joke.
That even goes to like the save record. Like Mariano has the award is named after him while he was still playing. They named the award after him, and it was like, well, Trevor Hoffman has more saves, and it's like, yeah, but you look at those two guys and you're like, well, that guy's clearly way better.
Way better. I saw tonight that Duke was throwing a lot of curveballs and sliders. At one point, it was like 50% of his pitch selection. But they were dancing. They was working. I can't believe he's getting better. Like when I see that, it's like, and he's throwing harder. He hit like 101 the other day. Now he's throwing secondary pitches more than ever. I mean, he is the best pitcher in baseball, the most underpaid person in baseball. And if he actually is getting better with time and he's going to be one of these guys who has like an unusually long career, we're talking about like one of the absolute all-time best greats if he does that.
Your boy, the pitching ninja, had his like 3-pitch sequence. It was like a change up, a fucking 100-mile-per-hour heater, and a curveball. And like he said, like the fastball, the 100-mile-per-hour fastball is the most hittable pitch of the three. And like Freddie Freeman, he he talks to the catcher. He's like, he's done it before, Jake, too, where he's just like, what the fuck? And I compare it to Freddie Freeman is like the Hulk of our lives who we just fear. And Jake just comes like Thanos and just goes boom, 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 knocks him the fuck out and banishes him. He just gets sent back to Earth by the time Jake's done with him. Yep. It's crazy how like that just works, but Jake is so fucking good. He makes Freddie Freeman.
I mean, tonight you could make the argument he didn't really have it. Like when he goes 6 innings, I'm like, all right, he had 10 strikeouts. He was good, but by no means his best out there tonight, and it still is absolutely dominant. It's
you can see how demoralizing it is for the batters too. Like they just walk up there, and after they swing through the first pitch, they're like, "Fuck!" Like there's no way I'm touching. Except for of course d'Arnaud, because d'Arnaud of course was going to hit him. d'Arnaud had a home run, a single, and then he finally struck him out. But as soon as he made contact, I was like, "You got to be kidding me!"
I hope that
every former Met.
I hope that Pete Alonso is like listening to Jake and learning like Jake, because he is honestly the perfect athlete. He's perfect. He didn't cost a lot of money somehow. He's got a great attitude. He's unbelievable. You could make the argument that maybe he's a little too quiet. Like this should be his team, and he should have staked his claim and been like, I'm the fucking captain of this bitch. If anything, he's almost too polite of an athlete.
He's almost going to be like the Maddox and Gwynn stats. It's going to be the Jake deGrom stats, where it was how good he was plus how bad the Mets were combined. It's going to be a goddamn and all those guys the guys who probably blew those games for him over the years. They probably in the moment were like, I'm going to tell my grandkids about I pitched with Jacob deGrom, and I was the guy who fucking blew his career in terms of like 300 win chances and just like fucking him over nonstop. And the guy didn't kill me. He didn't slit my throat as a fucking just basically Jesus, baseball Jesus. I'm going to call him baseball Jesus now. That's what I'm calling him.
I like that.
Baseball Jesus. It's also this season reminds me of those old shitty seasons of like the last decade where it was like Johan starts were the only things you got up for. Dickey during that 1 year is like, well, at least Dickey pitches tonight, So it's like it's always funny how you like just go back into your ways. It's like Jake and a bunch of fucking slop. I mean, I don't want to throw Peterson into that yet because he's so young, but it's a bunch of slop other than him.
We should do like the Mets all-time rotation of guys who were the only guy on the staff. Like I'd say like Rom was my ace. Johan. Maybe like Mike Hampton from that era of like
1 year.
Al Leiter.
Al Leiter
was the only guy there. Glavine. You could have a pretty good 5-man rotation of guys.
The fact that you could just rattle them off, that's literally every decade since I've been alive.
Pretty much, right? Yeah. That's it right there. Every regime, every generation right there of shitty Mets rotations that only had one guy. Jake will get into the Hall of Fame with 95 wins. You're probably right. And honestly, I thought that 300 was an absolute thing of the past, and that like even good pitchers wouldn't even have a shot, he would have. He would have been on pace, man. I mean, he's given up 2 runs or less in like half of his major league starts.
Do you know what his record is? His career record?
What is it?
67-49.
I'm happy it's
60. He's a 570 because it doesn't take into account it's a 66-49. So he's a 570 like 8 pitcher or whatever with a career 2.6 ERA.
I want him to have the record for no decisions. I want that to be a thing. If we could go back, I guarantee they're through the roof compared to anyone else.
At this point, I'd rather him have – I want this to almost continue and be bad for him because that will highlight how good he is. It's like I was talking to the Rocket the other day about Armando Galarraga's non-perfect game. It's talked about more because it's the non-perfect game.
Yeah.
Brown has just middle of the road run support when it's all said and done. It won't be a thing. If Jacob deGrom is known as the best pitcher ever who never got any runs, they'll actually give him his proper due. So I hope it continues to happen to the point that it's undeniable how bad he's been fucked his career.
The record for most no decisions in a single season is 20 by Burt Blyleven in 79. Shout out. That was my starter in the old RBI baseball. I was the Twinkies because someone else was the Mets. And Tommy John is the all-time record at 188. Talk about all-time hard. Talk about all-time tough luck, hard luck pitchers. So Tommy John is known for having his it saved his career, right? But he's not even known as a pitcher. He's known as a dude who had his elbow operated on, and he had the most career no decisions. That's
What's deGrom at right now? He's got to be at like.
I don't know. I don't even know if they.
I got to be at like 30.
I think it's something they compile it after the fact.
Yeah, I mean,
that's definitely you have to go back game by game because then he's not the pitcher on record.
Right. I mean, he's got to be very. I mean, like probably like 40 of them at this point. And if he had a full season this year, I think there's gonna be a lot of no decisions if he was.
He has 58 for his career.
We're getting there.
58 no decisions, 67 wins. I mean, that is just.
Oh my god. And like those, it's like out of those 15 no decisions, like 55, he gave up probably 3 runs or less.
No, but that's what I'm saying is like, yeah, those the vast majority of those are no decisions that he really deserved. So let's say he gets fucking 50 of them. He should be, almost at 110 wins right now. I mean, that's a career changer. God, the only thing that sucks is that he got a little bit of a late start. Could you imagine if we had Jake? And who knows, maybe he wouldn't have been that pitcher if he didn't have Tommy John and get pushed back. So you can't play that game. But if you had Jake like this from age like 24 on or some crazy shit, watch out. So the bad side of things, Rosario gets hurt. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but unfortunately, Robinson Cano gets hurt. Cano's, listen, got to call it like I see it. I hate the guy. I hate the trade. He's still going to be a problem in Albatross for years to come. But dude was hitting this year. He was raking. And, pulls up lame going down to first the same way he did last year. This time it's a groin. Rosario goes down in what? That was weird. They came back from commercial and were like, he's coming out, right? Yeah. So I guess he tried to take the field and it just didn't work.
He stretched the single and the error into the advancement to third base, and they must have done something on that. It was hot there. They said it was only 80 degrees, but it's so humid in Atlanta that I think that hopefully that's all it is.
Well, and that we don't have the crack training staff who was like, let's make sure we hydrate, let's get the electrolytes in. So yeah, I mean,
McNeil scratched before the game, obviously with the back tightness too. And this is the other thing about Cano. Cano's batting like 400 right now. The other side of trading for a guy who's going to be 38 and whatever, it's that's those injuries happen more to old motherfuckers. As an old motherfucker myself, I can tell you everything hurts right now. And I'm not a professional athlete, but I'm also not a professional athlete who's out fucking working every single day physically. So that comes with it.
You can't even be like, oh, like tough break. It's like, no, that's part of the package here is that he's an old guy. So it's not bad luck. It's the state of affairs. So, I mean, okay, here's what I want to say. Yeah, Céspedes is gone. Frees things up a lot. We now can play with the DH exactly what we want to. If Dominic Smith and Peter Alonso are in the lineup at the same time, and Pete is the one playing the field, that's fucking asinine. That is idiotic. It's just like you're choosing to have a worse defender out there. I don't care about egos. I don't care about, what Pete wants in that case. You're a fucking slugger. Nobody gives a shit about your glove. It's actually being exposed this year as pretty bad. And in those moments, you give your team less of a shot to win. That's just a fact. You're not taking up anybody else's slot. One of you can DH. One of you can play the field. That's got to be a, Pete wants to play first thing.
This is going to be his ultimate moment, right? Because we've heard how great of a leader Pete is and this and that. It's like, can he be the guy to like kind of let the guy who clearly has a better glove than him into the spot where he belongs?
You can't tell me that Pete Alonso like prides himself on his glove at first. We're not talking. I always said that Jeter should have done the right thing and slid over to third for A-Rod because A-Rod was the best player of all time. But I understand. You're the shortstop. You're the captain. You've been there for years. That's your position. It's a premium position. It's a glamour spot. Pete Alonso stinks at first. Nobody cares about first, and he's only been here for like a year. He's got to say, take the glove, bro. Go ahead.
And if anything, I would hope that this would kind of, if he took any slight, you go, all right, well, next year when the shit actually matters again, you come back with a fucking glove, right?
Our guy Joe says Pete wants to win a Gold Glove. He talks about it all the time. I mean, yeah, I want a fucking unicorn as a pet. These are things that are just not going to happen. And
that's the thing, though. Is he going to be like the accolade guy, or like,
wow, he hits enough home runs, he will win a Gold Glove? As fucked up as it sounds.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't want to like look into it too much and stir this up, but the right answer is always. I think deGrom always says, I World Series first, and if I win the Cy Young, that means I'm putting us in a position to win a World Series. It's always got to be about World Series, about winning. And so if that's the case, I think. You know what he should do? He would get so much credit for this as a leader, so much good PR if he came out to the reporters and said, from now on, when the lineup looks like that, Dom's playing first because that gives us a better chance to win. Nobody gives a fuck about Gold Gloves. Like, it's not a thing that anybody really cares about. So, no, let Dom Smith go win a Gold Glove, and the team will be in a better position to win.
I do like this here, though. If Jimenez plays third, but the thing is, then you have Cano DH and you move McNeil to second. That does take away like the 4 fucking just mystery balls coming out of Jeff McNeil's hands every single game, which does count for something. I don't want to like pee. A lot of those scoops have to be made. If anything, if I'm not sure if a scoop has to be made from home, I just listen to Keith. And Keith is very honest. He's brutally honest sometimes, right? Even that PB&J thing was fucking obscene. As a father of 2, I was fucking offended. I was offended by that.
Let's go back to that because you're right about Jimmy is a big upgrade there, no doubt. But let's go back to this weekend. Keith Hernandez talking to Steve Gelbs had absolutely no clue what PB&J stood for. You could hear it in his voice. It wasn't like a mix-up. He didn't mishear. He goes, what is a PB&J? And the rest of the booth is horrified with him. But you know what I love about Keith? He stuck to his guns so much. He acted like he was still correct. He was like, Steve, Gelbs, speak English. What are you talking about? Like everyone was telling him to his face, you're an idiot. And he just stuck to his guns because he's that dude. He is Keith Hernandez. He's so cocksure that even when he doesn't know the most – I would argue, Clem, the peanut butter and jelly is the most well-known sandwich in the history of sandwiches.
I fucking hope so.
Right?
I fucking hope it is, yeah.
Every other cold cut sandwich, there's a variation. So, I make it with mustard. You make it with mayo. This, that, the other thing. A peanut butter and jelly sandwich is universal. Everybody, every culture, everyone knows it. To not know the acronym for the most important sandwich of all time, it's not possible.
This is the same man that didn't know that LGM stood for Let's Go Mets, and they kept every night they would plaster it for asking why. And finally he goes, "What the hell is LGM?" And they're like, "Seriously, Keith?" So maybe he's not an acronym guy.
Yeah, maybe that's his thing. That's his Achilles heel. But I'm just thinking for a guy who speaks for a living and tells stories and hits you with clever jokes, and he knows stats and he knows RBI and like other phrases and acronyms. You don't know PB&J.
I'm telling you, Keith heard PB&J and his mind went immediately in the gutter, and he was like, "Whoa, Gelbsy, what are we talking about right now? The kids are watching," kind of a thing.
Hey, I had a girl in '73 when I was on the Cardinals give me a PB&J.
Yo, you can't play in the minor leagues for as long as he played in the minors and never heard someone say like, "I'm getting PB&Js for the bus ride," right?
That's
like,
all they
crazy
eat.
to me. Yeah, and like I went to Latvia. I went halfway across the world with Hank, and all Hank bought was peanut butter and jelly bread, and they were all in the same fucking aisle because everyone knows PB&Js, even in fucking Latvia. If Latvia knows PB&Js, you have to know PB&Js in the US of A, Keith. I'm sorry.
He acted like it was peanut butter and jelly's fault. Like, I don't know who this is. This PB and this J, I don't like any of these guys.
I did the whole LGM thing though, like again, Keith just isn't an acronym guy. That's and I feel like Gelbs is kind of like they'll just shit on him. So Keith is like, guys, come on, let's go shit on Gelbs. And he didn't realize he was on the other side of it.
Right.
Like if it's 50-50, shit, if it's like 70-30, I feel like they're like, you know what, let's go shit on Gelbs. Who gives a shit? But this was 100-0, and Keith was fighting. He was Jon Snow taking out the sword against the horses. He was fucked from the top.
That is such funny imagery of those guys just bullying Gelbs around the place.
Oh,
I could just see it. They all like him, but I also could just see them just shitting on him or like just bumping him out of the way or fucking with him and messing with his work.
If Keith gave him a hot foot or like they did the whole icy hot or like put it in his underwear or something like that, I just hope Gelbs is getting fucking just hazed nonstop by the boys. That would be incredible. And Keith is still like fucking 70s frat house fraternity leader guy. Like he doesn't have, like he's Ben Affleck in Days of Confused. He has a paddle. He probably just whacks Gelbs in the ass after every game. Oh, it must be great. Oh shit, Soraka torn ACL. That sucks.
Yeah, that sucks.
Achilles, I'm sorry.
What is it?
No, Achilles.
Yeah, okay. Because I was gonna say I'm no doctor, but you could see when you're not turning or cutting and the knee's fine and you push off. I saw that with Kobe. I saw that with someone else. Durant when he tore his. You just see it like rattle up, like ripple up the calf almost. You know,
it's crazy how that thing is so graphic and you just know immediately on TV. Yeah. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
A lot of times they say there's a pop.
Yeah.
They have the quiet stadium tonight. Thank God there was no pop.
But I mean that's a big blow for the Braves. That's like, I mean, that kid is fucking awesome. And what's the state of the division right now? I don't even know the records here.
I believe
we have a 2-1 team and a 1-2 team last I checked. So it's fucking crazy, Kevin. That's what it is. The season is probably
3-7 coming in tonight. It's so fucking jacked up. How about the Cardinals, by the way? I mean, was that one round of testing gave them 13 positives?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they had
13?
7 players and 13 total. And I wasn't sure if that was like trickling in or if that was just like one round of.
They do so many different ones where it was like when Soto tested positive, he had like 10 in a row negatives, and they still couldn't get him on the field because there was one positive. And he's like, what are we doing here? So I don't know.
Oh, it's so funny that when it happens to other teams, like, oh, it sucks, false positive, sucker, and then we're just getting our hearts ripped out of our chest every day. It's like, well, I wish we could have just had. Why couldn't one person have just gotten like a little sick or asymptomatic and just eliminated us from fucking play for the last week?
Could you imagine? Yeah, we'd be in a totally different place. None of you guys would be canceled. They haven't played 2 weeks almost.
And Kev, if our console gave this night to people like Kyle and they all had their fun and they watched their runs, I'm happy. I will gladly be the person. Kyle's wearing his shirt, peacocking. He's peacocking in front of us right now.
The MLB postponed that Field of Dreams game. I didn't even know that was still happening this year. But they said
they thought they were going to get that done. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and what was even the point of that? Like the whole thing is that it's going to be like an awesome fan experience. Nobody could fucking be there. It's idiotic. But yeah, I don't even know what that has to do with it. But 13 Cardinals players and staffers test positive, and so they canceled that. It was them versus the White Sox. I mean, anyway, my point being with that division, that's a big blow for the Braves, and that's a team who obviously is poised to take it again. So who cares? The season's fraudulent. Uncle Stevie's coming anyway. I don't I'm not counting any of Aaron Judge's home runs until people
Nope.
stop deep balls down the plate, the fucking middle of the plate. Those home runs don't count. The season doesn't count. The Yankees' inevitable World Series doesn't count. And I'm consulted for the next 4 days until Jake's back on the mound.
Feels so good. It feels so good, Kev. I don't give a fuck about tomorrow.
He's gonna sit here. He's gonna agonize, and he's gonna wring his hands out and cry his little eyes out. We're gonna kill him.
Tomorrow's pitching matchup brought to you by me, Steven Matz versus mystery pitcher on the Nationals, because they haven't played a game in 17 years. So we don't know. Are they playing tonight? I don't even know what's going on. No, they haven't.
The branding of, we have the grab bag, but mystery pitcher, mystery door, behind door number 2 is your number 2 starter. Who's he gonna be? Whoa.
Player to be named later. That's who does every fucking game for the Nationals. Player to be named later is pitching both games of this series according to ESPN, which is a fucking joke. I have Strasburg. He was my ace in fantasy. He hasn't pitched a game yet, and it's fucking the 3rd week of the season in my mind. And he missed like a day. He had some numbness, and they're like, all right, well, sit out a couple more games, see if you get it back. And then they just stop playing baseball. It's fucking a fraudulent season. Why do we even care about this stupid thing? Why?
I don't care about it. The only thing I want to say here as we wrap up, where I feel silly even asking the question, but whose side are you on? Did Céspedes opt out properly and the Mets are slandering him, or did not notify them and the Mets are telling the truth? Where do you fall, Clem Diggity?
This is the question, the great question of all time. The fucking asshole, dickhead, liar motherfuckers who have wronged us for decades, or the guy who, as soon as he said the contract, we're like, Yo's a crazy person. I don't know what the fuck to make out of Yo. You know what I mean? I love him for it too.
It's the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. It's Céspedes being like a flake and aloof and not making sense versus the biggest lying sleazebag organization in the world.
Here's the one ripple where I'm like, it's just enough where I'm like, the Mets are just complete assholes. And it's Brandon Nimmo, who's got the heart of a child, and he's sitting up there on the press conference, and he's like, well, I was told that his manager told them before the game on Sunday. And I was like, that's the truth.
But also, couldn't you see any interaction between Céspedes and Nimmo being like, whatever Yo says goes? So I could see him be like, Brandon, like, no, I did it right. Fuck those guys. And he would just be like, okay, Mr. Céspedes, I get it. But I mean, I can never give the Mets the benefit of the doubt. And I don't know. I mean, Yo is not trustworthy. But I'm going to have to go with – I think he at least did something. I don't think he did it perfectly and the Mets just made this up. I think it was probably suspect the way he handled it, but he did handle it. And the Mets are now being like, well, fuck you.
Yeah, it was like, I don't think I'm going to show up tomorrow, this and that. And then it wasn't like followed through. I don't think there was like a call or a text or it said just even like a text message is all you need to do. Yeah. I don't think he even did that. I think the mall picture was fake. Or it was from weeks ago.
I did hear that it ended up being a fraud picture.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
I thought that might have been the case, but I wasn't sure if so. But it sounds like it was. But that's fine. I mean, I actually would have respected it more if he just went to the fucking mall. What mall is it? The Roosevelt Mall in Long Island or in Queens or whatever.
No, they're out in Atlanta, right?
He had flown. He had already left, so he could have flown back to New York, hypothetically speaking.
Atlanta. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. Did you guys see the contract though of what he ended up doing when it's all said and done?
No. Oh, his whole numbers the last 3 years.
Yeah. Where it was like 4 years, $110 million, and in that time he had like 25 home runs and like 73 RBIs. It was his entire, because the extension and then the year into it. That was the entire production.
I have to apologize to the Wilpons because I remember being like, open the boat. Like, I remember thinking he's not the perfect candidate to give big money, but he's our guy. Re-up. We'll go back and win a World Series. And they did it, and it just didn't work. I mean, the one time they opened the wallet, the difference is that as a big market team, you're supposed to be able to absorb that and continue to go get other guys, whereas this just handicapped them for the next that entire 4-year stretch. But boy, oh boy, did he! What a bag of shit! He just fucking stole that money and didn't do a goddamn thing for this team.
Finesse King, and again, his agent who negotiated that was Brody Van Wagenen, So
Right.
Brody, shout out Brody for fucking us on both ends of the deal here. The final number is 127. This is from Jake Brown Radio. 127 games, 28 home runs, 75 RBIs, and it was like 4 years, 66 million with like the way it all panned out with I think the extension and obviously the injury, all that kind of shit. But Yoenis Céspedes, which again, if this is the one thing I'll say, Kev, if you go back to your blogs, my blogs, I'm sure even the podcast wasn't around. If we did any Mets therapy, we said from Jump Street, this is going to end horribly. We knew it at the time, but it's like you have to do it. You had to do it. The way 2015 happened, it was magical. The way 2016, where his market never really like formed. Yeah. And like what they weren't going to spend money on anyone else. If that Yoenis Céspedes money wasn't going to anyone else, you had to go with the guy who got into the World Series at one time and hoped it worked out. And it worked out comically Mets bad. We got non-horse injury out of it though, at least. And also, I choose to believe this. This is my last thing I'll say, and then you guys can sign off. Yoenis Céspedes did not opt out of the baseball season. He did not disappear. He did not ghost on his team. He simply had baseball laxity. No longer wanted to play baseball. He no longer had the soul. He baseball laxity. Cancel the season.
Well, I'm happy that he opted out. I mean, I already basically did this with the Council, but I announced this earlier today. I have officially opted out of the 2020 season for the same reason. It's stressful. It's confusing. And I'm not making my money either. I'm not hitting any incentives like Céspedes. So I'm broke and confused, and I don't like it. So I have opted out. That leaves Kyle as the lone man, the complete and total asshole here. All idiots. And
16 teams making the playoffs. I
Oh,
subscribe to the theory that he wasn't getting his incentives because the Wilpons didn't want to give him the money for starting opening day because it was a delayed season. And gotta believe.
No, you do not. But if you choose to, you can continue to believe.
Gotta believe.